The Vatican has announced that former Pope Benedict has died at the age of 95. Bells ringing out across St. Peter's Square to mark the death of the former pontiff. Born Joseph Ratzinger in a small German village, he was a conservative intellectual who believed strongly in Catholic traditions and rose through the ranks to lead the world's largest church. Earlier this week, we heard the Pope Emeritus was very sick. Megan Williams now with more on how he's being remembered.
The announcement came this morning from the Vatican that former Pope Benedict XVI died at 9:34 inside the convent that he's been living in for the past 10 years inside the Vatican, just steps from where the present Pope Francis lives. Shortly after they made the announcement of his death, they announced that the funeral will be on Thursday, 9:30 Rome time, and will be presided over by Pope Francis himself. Pope Benedict's body will lie in state inside St. Peter's just behind me starting Monday morning. This is an unprecedented situation to have a former pope die while a current pope is still alive, and both of them still living within the Vatican. As many people know, Pope Benedict was the first pope to resign in 6 centuries. It shocked the world. He said at the time when he was 85, almost 10 years ago, that he no longer had the mental and physical strength to continue as leader of the Catholic Church. He was a very conservative leader, and at the time that he resigned, the Church was reeling with sexual abuse scandals that he himself was involved in later on. Just last year, a German inquiry into sexual abuse and cover-up in that country said that Benedict, when he was Archbishop of Munich in the late 70s and early 80s, covered up knowing about an abusing priest, which Benedict himself later admitted that he had not given all the information that he was aware of. Benedict was also very divisive when it came to LGBTQ members of the Catholic Church. Before becoming Pope, he was head of the Doctrine of the Faith, which was sort of the doctrinal enforcer of the Catholic Church, and issued some very condemning statements about LGBTQ people. Right now, the Church remains divided in a sense between supporters, arch-traditionalists, conservatives of Benedict, and the fact that he was an enforcer of traditions and of Catholic doctrine, Catholic rules. Pope Francis, of course, is a very different pope. He is a pope that is far less interested in those sorts of issues, much more interested in reaching out to the poor, the marginalized, migrants. That really has been the focus of Francis's papacy. Nonetheless, the two remained close. Pope Francis visited him quite a bit. They lived just steps away from each other inside Vatican City. And of course, Pope Francis will be presiding over the funeral of former Pope Benedict on Thursday morning. Megan Williams, CBC News, the Vatican.